Good morning, NASA. Humanity has lost hope of finding a new home until they found this new planet they named Bearth. Earth with a B.
Hey, Morris, that'll take you there. Come on, vamos.
With a radius of 7.63 million meters, Bearth provides a surface area almost 50% greater than that of Earth's. Bearth will surely have enough space for the future of humanity. As well, conquistadors of Bearth will realize they feel slightly lighter. This is due to Bearth's mass being 8.55 times 10 to the 24th kilograms, and ultimately Bearth's gravity being 9.7997 meters per second squared, or 0.99 Gs. No habitable planet can survive without a star, so at the center of this solar system is Sun, Part 2. Sun Part 2 is a main sequence yellow star mainly composed of hydrogen and helium. It has a radius of 827.88 million meters and a mass of 5.94 times 10 to the 30th kilograms. The orbital path of Bearth is circular, meaning it has an eccentricity of 0. As a result, Bearth has a constant velocity around the Sun, and all seasons on Bearth are of the same length of time. The beautiful thing about Bearth is settlers can experience the same seasons on Bearth as they did on Earth.
Where is Bearth? It's because of that 25-degree tilt.
The 25-degree tilt causes the northern hemisphere of Bearth to be further away from our star during the winter and much closer in the summer. Well, what do you know? Bearth conveniently has the first 92 elements of the periodic table naturally occurring on Bearth. Bearth also has an atmosphere very similar to Earth's. It is composed of 78% nitrogen, 21% oxygen, 1% argon, and trace elements of carbon dioxide, neon, and etc. Bearth's atmosphere formed an ozone layer which allows for blue skies and insulation for heat coming from the Sun Part 2 and as a barrier from small meteors and harmful radiation. Two of those naturally occurring elements make one of the most important compounds on Bearth: water. Water has collected on Bearth to form oceans, rivers, seas, lakes, deltas, ponds, you name it. Now let's delve down below Bearth's surface. Bearth has an inner solid core composed of iron and an outer molten core of alloy nickel iron. The rotation of the core produces a magnetic field that thwarts harmful solar wind's plans to strip away Bearth's ozone layer and makes some gnarly lights up in the sky. The layer above the core is Bearth's mantle. The mantle is composed of molten rock containing silicon, iron, magnesium, aluminum, oxygen, and other minerals. Above the mantle is the Bearth's crust, which is a solid layer of mostly oxygen, silicon, aluminum, iron, calcium, sodium, potassium, and magnesium. The flow of the mantle and the cracks in the crust created plate tectonics on Bearth. Now, Bearth isn't some basic planet. It's a strong, independent celestial body with landforms. Bearth has mountains, caves, trenches, volcanoes, and a bunch of other landforms. These landforms were caused by convergent, divergent, and transform boundaries all around Bearth some time ago. Bearth's plates affect the climate and landforms on the surface. Let's see how. Earthquakes create new mountain ranges. Volcanic eruptions lead to an increase in greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. The molten lava, once cooled, provides nutrients for growing life. Underwater volcanoes add density to the water. This leads to salinification of fresh water, and ocean currents produced by the circulation of dense salt water with less dense fresh water. Tsunamis can erode land quickly and can sweep away any life forms the tsunami comes across. Bearth has an amazing atmosphere, but much hotter and cooler seasons than Earth. Bearth doesn't experience large amounts of tectonic plate action, so the amount of greenhouse gases are enough for an atmosphere, but not enough for worrying amounts of global warming. Bearth is in the habitable zone of Sun Part 2, so it receives sufficient exposure to light and mild surface temperatures during most of Bearth's orbit. Precipitation rates of an area decrease the further away you get from the equator. Bearth has two moons that have a clockwise orbit on opposite sides of each other. The two moons' names are My Grade in Patton's Class and A Good Grade. Their origins come from me always trying to get a better grade in Patton's, but never catching up to it. Their effect on Bearth's surface is bi-daily low and high tides. Because there are two moons, the low and high tides will be much less dramatic as those on Earth. From tornadoes to thunderstorms, snowfall to dust storms, and fog to hurricanes, all types of weather are present on Bearth. The magnetic field produced by the rotating core allows for lightning strikes, the moons give way to the water cycle, and the summers and winters lead to seasonal drought or blizzards, respectively. Bearth's conditions have allowed for the birth and growth of organisms similar to Earth's. Vegetation has ranged from water fern to oak trees, purple moss to roses, and etc. The wide variety of plants is seen throughout
Hey, what's that?
What's what?
That over there.
Oh boy.
Organisms on Bearth include far much more than just vegetation. There's belephants, bostraches, beagles and beagles, bonkies, bigers, as previously seen, the list goes on. In summary of the organisms on Bearth, very similar to the ones on Earth, but I put a B in front of their name. Bearth's natural resources include elements 1 through 92, fresh water, lumber, crude oil and natural gas, edible vegetation and wildlife, wind, sunlight, and precious metals and ores. So NASA, how about it? Doesn't Bearth seem great? Anyways, I've gotta go, but here's a quick message from our sponsors. This message was brought to you by
Every day when you're walking down the street, everybody that you meet has an original point of view. And I say, hey, what a wonderful kind of day. If you could learn to work and play and get along with each other, you got to listen to your heart.